Bethann Hardison, so glad you're here.
Thank you.
Can we talk about just like the very specific word ambition? There's something I think maybe sometimes it's like has a little glow of nastiness maybe. You know, like
No.
Ambition sounds a little bit meaner than like drive or determination. To me, you're such an interesting and ambitious person. What does how do you even feel about the word?
It's not like I don't like the word. I just don't think that I really am the one who really demonstrates it in the way that I think it's meant. Ambition to me is someone who actually plans to actually do something and do it in such a way that they work towards it, like becoming a doctor, a singer, a musician. The ambition has to be there. The passion has to be there. I come along like a troubleshooter, but it's not a plan before that until I see the problem. To me, that's just like someone who's a house cleaner. You know, they're domestic. They just go, oh, there's dust on the thing. Oh, let me just wipe that off.
And that's you.
That's me to me.
I want to ask you about your son, though, because when you modeled, you always kept a second job. And one reason why is that you were raising, sort of semi-secretly from the industry, a kid. You had a child.
Yeah.
You've said, my son and I needed to cross the line, the winning line. He became an actor. He played Dwayne Wayne on A Different World. How did you encourage a sense of ambition in him? And tell us about the toll that it took on your relationship.
I think what it really was is that, you know, I got pregnant when I was a young girl, and I think it was a fear of just failing. I got lucky that it worked out another way, and I wound up being successful in my own way, you know. But I think the reason why I was had to give Kadeem something to do is because he never knew what he wanted to be.
I love the story that you gave him a scene to be a boy with a missing dog. You know, you turned him on to acting. You encouraged it. But look, I mean, it was your idea, not his. Do you have you thought yourself, or have you talked to him about the way that instilling ambition in other people can sometimes be a little dangerous?
I don't think it's, and I like that you're stuck on this word ambition. Because you and I should go out on a date. We can argue this point.
Oh, thank you so much. It's the first time I've been asked out on this television show. Thank you, Bethann.
Because I tell you, I didn't think I was trying to impose ambition. That's for you to do on your own. I think what I was doing is really basically giving him an opportunity to grasp something. Ambition, I don't think you can really teach people ambition. Let's
talk about you and your drive and your career. So in 1980, you became an agent at Click Models. I think you represented a very young Whitney Houston.
Yeah.
Then you start your own agency.
Yeah.
It's Bethann Management.
Yeah.
And you discover Veronica Webb.
Yeah.
Then you discover Tyson Beckford.
Yeah.
Whose contract with Ralph Lauren was, I think, also
that was major.
What did it feel like to channel your drive, your ambition, if you want, through other people to help them succeed? It was no longer about you as a model. You were channeling other people. How did that feel?
I didn't want to have a model agency. The last thing I wanted was a model agency, but they made me do it. Most things that I'm doing, someone made me do it. It's never my ambition to say, oh, I'm going to do this.
Will you let me try to be ambitious myself and push back on something?
Go ahead.
Okay. We talk about your extremely ambitious career, and you're like, no, I wasn't really that ambitious. We talk about your son, who you push into acting, and you were like, well, no, I wasn't really doing that. Then we talk about you starting a modeling agency, and you say, oh, I didn't want to start a modeling agency.
It's true.
But Bethann, is it possible that that there's something about you and the way that you look at your career where you undersell the challenges that you faced instead of doing what most people do, which is oversell them?
Yeah. I'll even get better. I didn't have a career. What I have is many different things I do. You know, I used to have people who stand behind me, and I used to say, this is my backup band. They can explain me better than I can. And people would step in front of me when I would be introduced to someone. They say, oh, please, she's so modest. Let me tell you what she's done. I don't take it on so well. I see that.
Why do you think that is?
I think because I don't think that much of it in the act of doing it. I think that it's something that just had to be done. Someone had to do it.
We'll be a little less rosy now. Okay. So in '96, you closed your agency.
Yeah.
You moved to Mexico. You said, I had no idea what I'd do next because I had no ambition. I had no ambition. If you have no ambition, you don't know what you're going to do. You just make sure you don't sink. Well said. I got some good quotes. You said it.
Those things, oh my gosh.
How did How did that feel? Take me back to Mexico when it was like you had nothing doing after this decades of action.
So I basically knew that I was having a nice downtime. It was good. And I didn't have to worry about doing too much. I still had to work a little bit because I still had Tyson. And then I started getting those calls. I think when I left the industry, New York Times had written an article on me saying who was going to do the work that I had been doing and how important it was. And I was like, oh, please, I'm out of here. You know, don't put that on me. Someone else can pick it up. And then when I started getting those calls about the models had disappeared and all, and I was getting those calls from Naomi, and, you got to come back, you got to come back. And I wasn't going that long. It was like 3-4 months or something.
Just to expand on what you're saying that Naomi Campbell
yes.
was calling you
yes.
to say the black models are disappearing.
Yes, yeah.
And I want to give a little bit more context. You had started an advocacy group called Black Girls Coalition.
Yes.
And that was an advocacy group for models with Iman, with Naomi Campbell.
Yeah, but it was when it first started, just to be clear, when it first started, it was just to celebrate the girls, to introduce them to each other, because so many of them were working, you know, doing editorial, which had never happened before, but they don't know that. They're the first ones on the scene. I've been around. I've known this is the first time. Then eventually, in about 4 years later, 3 or 4 years later, I decided to go up against the advertising industry.
Right.
Because they were not reflecting their consumer.
And you tell me you're not ambitious.
No, that's not hey, can I get a...
because this is serious stuff. I mean, look, the reality is you played a really important role in getting black faces onto runways and into magazines. But then, lo and behold, what happens? The faces start disappearing. Yeah. Things, the diversity, as it so often does in corporate America, especially,
Swings.
It makes progress and then it comes back.
Yeah.
What was it like to see failure following progress, and what did you do about it?
Well, that's the thing. You always say, you know, you go 3 steps forward and you fall 4 steps back or something like that. And it took me 4 years before I can really get back on that horse. I'm coming back and okay. That wasn't so much like ambition to me. That's more like, once again, like revolutionary. That I live with very well. I believe I am. I know I am.
I want to bring up something else you said, and it's about change. You said, I always know because I've lived life long enough, you can change things. You might need to be foot against your pedal, but you can change things.
Yeah.
There are so many forms of like being driven, you know, but I feel like it's so rare for people to aim to make things better for other people instead of themselves.
I think when I leave here, I'm going to feel different. I think you're really convincing me. I'm going to go out of here with my head held high, and a big head too. I'm going to swell this head up, and I'm going to try and get through that door.
Well, then I'll walk out with a swollen head too, if that's what you're saying. I think I want to end, if you don't mind, Bethann. Mm-hmm. At the end of your film, you talk about dying, going home.
Yeah.
A good end to a good life? I mean, that seems like the most beautiful ambition that I could think of, I think. If you don't mind talking about it, what would you like it to feel like?
When I leave this earth?
Mm-hmm.
Not so painful. I want people to celebrate, have a good time. I know I'm going to be buried upstate New York in a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful cemetery. And I just hope that I just cruise right along and that something is left behind that remembers. One thing I would like to do, and this is requiring ambition.
Okay.
I want to do a one-woman show.
Are you going to do it? What's stopping you?
Yeah, I got to finish this film. The film keeps going on. And also, I just need to finish this book. And, you know, fear stops me, you know, because that's scary. The one-woman show is not like a stand-up comedian. I'm going to do it interactively with the audience. I'm just going to tell stories. But I always wanted to do that.
Will it be okay if I or if the world remembers you as an ambitious woman?
Yeah, you can do anything you want once I'm gone.
It's a deal. Bethann Hardison, thank you so much for being here.
I'm happy I came. I learned a lot about me this time.
So did I.
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Watch the Businessweek show Thursday nights, 10:30 Eastern on Bloomberg Television or 8:30 on Bloomberg.com or the Bloomberg app on connected TVs.